Computer. Lights.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Tuesday. So, looks like today we're going to work just a little bit on Silver Pentacle 2. And yeah, where is George? I don't know where George went. He was right over there by the bathroom because he's really into trying to get into the toilet. That's this morning's thing. Because George. So anyway, he's really into that plan. I'm trying to discourage him from doing that because it seems like a bad idea. There we go. Let's move that there. But, anything could happen. He's a cat. We don't know what happens with cats. They're cats. There we go. Move that there. There we go. So we're going to work a little bit with Airship 27, but not a whole lot because actually I'm still reading the book and I don't want to get too far into the weeds before I yeah, right. I'm gonna sploosh. Water everywhere. Oh well. Anyway, I don't want to get too far into the weeds because I know that I probably got hey, Colton's gonna join us too. Yay, Colton!
Ew, who else is joining?
Well, George, somewhere along the line. If he doesn't fall into the toilet, that is. In theory, I mean, George has been talking about that. He keeps trying. So it's really funny. He doesn't like stale water. He doesn't like the water to not be moving. He's one of those cats.
Nice.
And so he's enamored with, of course, sinks, toilets, anything that has flowing water. But I keep telling him, you don't really want to be drinking out of the toilet. I mean,
hey,
you really don't. So, it's kind of like, I don't know. He doesn't get it. I don't know. I just work here. So
he'll learn one day.
Yeah, when he falls in. But then somebody's got to clean him, And
sadly, that's you.
Yeah, that becomes one of those. Nobody wants to clean a cat. I don't know. That's one of those. I think you just stick him in the shower, close the doors, and turn the water on, and then let him just in there.
Hopefully.
But then he'll never get new. That's the other thing that's funny about him. I'll take a shower in the morning, and he keeps coming in, and then he paws at the door because I've got the glass doors, the 70s glass doors. So, he paws at the door, and so I'll open the door a little bit, and he sticks his head in, and the water hits him, and he goes, and he runs away. So I'll close the door. Then about 3 minutes later, booga, 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 booga.
Okay. My old roommate, their cat kind of did something like that.
Yeah.
So we had the drape.
Yeah.
The showers. So he would come up. No, she would come up and stand on the side and look at you and going, "What are you doing?" They start yelling at you loudly, "No, you're drowning."
I'm trying to save you. I'm trying to save you.
Yeah, kind of.
Get out of there.
Why do you do this to yourself almost every day?
What's your problem? Oh, that'd be funny. I don't know.
It was weird because it was a loud meow too. It wasn't the whole her normal meow was meow.
Right.
Meow.
Well,
meow.
she needs to get up over that sound of the water, right? Emergency! Get out of the shower!
You're going to
Water!
die.
It's all over you.
That's pretty
There's
much what it
nothing
sounds
I
like.
can do.
Uh-huh.
I think Paula
All right.
Poundstone had a thing about that once that was really funny. Because she also had the comedian, Paula Poundstone, she had a cat that was that way. That would, she'd go take a shower and she'd get out of the shower and the cat would be sitting there with wide eyes and would meow at her like, man, there's nothing I could do to save you. Nothing. It was all over you. It was
crazy
horrible.
Creature.
Yeah, that's funny.
You're crazy. You actually went to get a shower.
You did this voluntarily.
You didn't lick yourself clean.
Right?
Like, okay.
Man. How you doing this morning?
Good. I totally forgot that today was Wednesday, and I said I was coming on, and I was halfway through making breakfast, and I was like, oh, shit.
That's great, because today's Tuesday.
Well, shit.
Right? Like, I mean, you can still be here. You are always welcome.
We talked yesterday, so.
This isn't Wednesday.
I just realized yesterday was Monday now.
Right?
I jumped ahead.
It's all good. Hey, you get an extra day. It's like the reverse of what's going to happen Sunday when we all like lose an hour and get totally confused again.
Yeah, but see, the best part about next week for me, though,
yeah,
starting Saturday, as soon as I get off my shift at work, I'm off until the 14th.
Oh, hey, that's cool. I have jury duty somewhere along the line.
Oh, yeah.
Although they'll probably do like they did last time and say, never mind, don't bother.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
I like it when they call you first and then tell you, and not you waste like 2 hours at like half your day pretty much at the courthouse, and then they're finally like, oh no, never mind, we don't need you anymore. I'm like, I literally just wasted my whole day just sitting here.
Yeah.
I think that's
I had this weird thing for a while there. My wife was like being summoned every other year or something.
Wow.
And I've like never been on jury duty ever in my life. And at one point I was like, am I registered wrong or something? I mean, like, did I sign the wrong papers somewhere along the line when I was 18? You know,
especially for you, Guy Davis. Like, Davis is a pretty early on name. They go down if they're going down by numerical order.
But then, like 3 years ago or 4 years ago, I got a jury summons, and I was like, "Oh, good, it does work. The system works." I just
finally
apparently had to go 40-something years before somebody actually needed me. But
it is cool. Yeah, the random thing's weird though. Like Brent's saying though, because I used to get one like almost every year, and then I'd get like the phone call or. Like, you know how you call in first to see if they still need you? You just call in that morning and they're like, nope, we don't need you. I'm like, all right, cool. Then 1 year, they had me actually go down to the courthouse. I waited I was literally sitting in the booth they were picking out their candidates for the jury. And he's like, nope. And I walked out. I was like, all right, cool. So I walked away. And then the lady's like, cool, have a great day. I'm like, wait, that's it? I can go home? She's like, yeah, you can go home now. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. It's like 2:00 now. I was there at 8. And I was like, I'm glad I brought a sketchbook. I'm glad I brought my Game Boy.
That's what I was thinking too, is I'm like, I'm just going to bring a sketchbook.
I had a sketchbook. I was just sitting there just doing stuff the whole time. And then like once we actually entered the courtroom, I decided not to draw anymore because I was worried that they would start yelling at me. I'd be like, no drawing the victims. Okay. Because I have no idea how it works. I don't know.
I'm not drawing you.
I'm drawing her.
Turn a little bit that way.
But yeah, it was fun. It was like some drunk driving case or whatever is what we all got pulled in for.
Yeah, I keep saying I want to go at least once through the whole process just so I can say I have experienced it. Right?
Like, I had one person who actually did. He said it was a fantastic time. It was.
Yeah, cool. I was about to say. I mean, it could be. I know that I'm sure that I would not. But then I said that, and then my best friend was like, "Yeah, you know what's going to happen. It's going to be like a child molestation case, and it's going to traumatize the hell out of you." And I'm like, Maybe that's true. So now I'm not as eager. I was eager for a while, but then he said that, and I was like, okay, maybe I'm not so eager anymore. I mean, because like, we don't know. It's like
I was laughing at Brett. He's like, I was getting deployed to Iraq that next morning.
Yeah, well, that gets you out. Yeah,
there's no way out of that one.
I can't go to jury duty. You have to have a very good excuse. I'm being deployed. That's a good excuse.
That's close enough.
That works.
Jury duty first, then you can go.
Right. We'll explain that to the Marines.
Right.
Who wants to explain that to the Marines?
Nope.
I assigned this to you, Colton. You have to explain it to the Marines.
I'm on it.
Right.
It is a duty as a citizen to do this. It's fun.
We're just saying. Okay, so yesterday, 2 interesting things occurred.
Ooh.
Humble Bundle did like all of the Corel things for $35.
Oh, nice.
So if you can fetch it, they have their, Photoshop clone and their Illustrator clone and their Painter clone and their video editing clone.
What is it?
Humble Bundle. I'm hoping it's still up because $35 for all of those, and it's a perpetual license.
And what am I looking up?
Corel. Corel.
Oh, Corel.
Like Corel Draw.
Yeah, right? Corel Painter.
Yep. Painter and all of those in a bundle. So I got that.
That's crazy for $30.
Right?
No, I mean, like, it's not there anymore.
It isn't?
I'm not seeing it.
Hang on.
I just typed in Corel. Guilty Gear.
Hang on. I'm looking now to see what happens. There we go.
I know I have Corel Painter, like 2018.
Here, I'll put it in our... Yeah, I don't know. I hope this is still okay.
We will see.
I'll send it to you. Hang on. Work. There. Click the link and see if that tells you, because I've already purchased it, so saying thank you, on my version of that page says thank you for purchasing it. So I can't tell if it's, still going, if it's not going, if it's done. I don't know.
I'm going to say it's done, but it has some pretty cool stuff in here. Oh, wait. Oh, never mind. Paid $30 for these 36 items. Yep. But I have you. What else is there? Let me see. Because I got quite a bit of stuff I bought when I was using Corel a lot.
No, come here. Come here.
Wow.
There we go. Would you care? Yeah. There we go. I was trying to get him. He was being a pest. Doing the chase me to pet me thing. I'm like,
he was playing hard to get.
I am not going to chase you all.
I don't do enough special art to spend the money. That's fair, Brent.
Now, $30 for a replacement for Photoshop.
I mean, yeah, I have Corel Painter 18, so 19.
Well,
I haven't touched it in years, though.
Well, yeah, but there's a Photoshop knockoff in there.
There is?
Yeah.
Corel Painter. You're right. Okay, I see it now. I'm just scrolling through, like, okay, textures, paintbrush, fairy dust.
Yeah, and then there's the video.
Video overlays.
Which does video editing, and the After Effects knockoff.
Paint Shop Pro.
Anyway, the TLDR on this is that if that does all the things I need, to do in Photoshop, then I'm going to get out of Creative Cloud.
Pretty much not spend a monthly fee.
Right, because I'm sick of paying $50 a month for them to change bits of Photoshop so my workflow takes longer.
Right.
And I mean, it's always little irritating things. Like, I am so over we changed the save protocol so that it matches Apple computers thing.
I hate that.
Because now you can't save as gives you only TIFF and Photoshop.
Yeah, but also you have to do you have to hit like 3 buttons just to get it to go to a JPEG.
Right.
Which doesn't make sense to me.
Almost every one of my workflows, all of them have a JPEG version somewhere down the road because you can't upload PSDs or TIFFs to Instagram.
Yep.
So it's like, if I'm going, it's almost like they just added workflow to everybody who does social media anything. And it's like, why would you add workflow?
Because
add steps. And their little line thing still makes me mad.
The what?
They removed the rasterized line in favor of a vector line tool, which is always 2 steps, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to make the vector line, then you have to say render the vector line.
Right.
So I would do things like when I was drawing, I would just use the line tool and just go in and kind of sketch around things to make sure that I got a really nice, clean line. Well, then you have to go back and click, and render all of those stupid lines.
Right.
And I was like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? You just added workflow to me. And it took them a year to give us a line that no longer has arrows, because that was the other thing. Is it was great for just doing quick, you do an illustration and you're like, this is this and this is this and this is this, and you could put an arrowhead on the line and then just click and drag and it just put an arrow to something. But since you only could do it in vector, you had to put an arrowhead, then render it, then an arrowhead, then render it, and then an arrowhead, then render it. And it was like, this is ridiculous. And of course, every time you put an arrow in, anything vector would add a new layer. So your drawing, which already had 30 layers, you put all your arrowheads in, now you have 105 layers in it. And it's like, come on. All I was doing is trying to put arrows in,
Right.
And so we complained enough that they put the line back in, but not arrowheads. So the arrowheads are gone still. And it's like,
weird.
And they still haven't fixed the weird rotational glitch that has literally been there since like Photoshop 7.
Which rotational glitch?
When you like click the crossbar tool so that you get the handlebars on the side of your object.
Uh-huh.
If you put your mouse right around the corners, you get the rotational arrows, right? Mm-hmm. To rotate it. Almost every time I click that, it scales the object first. Then you have to hit undo. Then you can rotate it. So it's a glitch. Because the icon is rotate, not scale.
Yeah.
The icon is rotate. And it says rotate. And then you click it and it scales it. And then you have to undo that and then click it again so it'll rotate it.
That's fair.
And it's like, that's been a glitch since Photoshop 7. They haven't fixed that. Mm-mm. But boy, they've added all kinds of crap to my workflow. So I'm kind of like, I'm over it. If there's a Photoshop clone that I can own, even if it is going to be, slightly disabled or whatever, if it can just do text and arrows, those are the 2 things the Clip Studio does not do really well.
Right.
Then all I need is that, and then everything else is fine. So we're going to see. The other thing that was on Humble Bundle last night was the Pro Fantasy Map Creator set, which is really cool.
The what?
The Map Creator, what is it called? So let me see here. It's down in P. Pro Fantasy. So it's the It's
for like tabletop.
Yeah, it's for making D&D game maps.
Mm.
They've got all of the icons and doodly wops for trees and mountains and things, so you can make.
Oh, that's cool.
And then they've got different overlays so that you can do maps from different types of eras and things like that. So you can do your fantasy maps with the little tree icons and the little mountain icons, or you can do realistic maps which show actual terrain, rises and stuff like that. But it comes with Cosmo Creator, which is their map creator for space. So you can do like planets and things like that.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and I did too, but it wasn't as good as I wanted it to be.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was kind of like something I was looking at recently. Roll20.
Yeah, Roll20 does cool stuff, but you still have to build the maps and put them into Roll20.
No, I mean, that's fine as well. I was just looking at it because I was like, I heard it was.
So Roll20 is you put a map up and everybody joins the game from all over the world. Like, let's say you and I, you're there, I'm here. We go into Roll20 and I put a map up and you can see the map, and then I can put little icons on the map and you can see the icons on the map. So
nice.
It also has
I know it's like a whole digital playing world game where you can build.
It's for playing role-playing games online.
Yeah.
So it's got some really cool features. You can put your entire character into Roll20, and then it will do things like you bring your character sheet up, and I put it up. It allows it to pop it out, so I'll put it up on another monitor. And if you click the spell, it will roll the die using a randomizer,
right?
Put it into the chat. So, it'll say guy shoots a fireball and gets a 24 or whatever.
Wow. So it rolls it for you. It knows everything that
needs
to
be
rolled for
and roll.
Yeah. So like if it needs a D20 to do the attack, if it needs to do then for damage is like 3d6 or whatever, it's going to roll the 3d6 afterwards. Nice. That's so cool.
Yeah. And you click your acrobatics and it'll do an acrobatics roll. So, to roll the die and then add your acrobatics bonus.
Yeah, because I watched a video on it and I was like, oh, that's cool.
It's
like
really
it was just it was like a commercial for D20
it's kind of a pain in the ass to get your character in, and it will take a game, but it has templates. Like it has a template for 5e. So if you've got a 5e character, it's actually easy to just throw it in there. Because it just asks you, what's your dex? What's your constitution? What's your intelligence?
You just plug it in yourself.
Things in, and then, and it actually has like all of the packs in it. So like if you choose to be a bard, it automatically raises the skills that go up for bard and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
So it does all the math.
Level 15 bard. Here's your stats where it's supposed to be at.
Yeah.
Now fill in all the rest that's missing.
Yeah, just go in and do all the rest. And it gives you places for bios and it gives you places to draw your character, because you and I both draw our characters. And that's the way this always goes. That's the nature of the beast. I spend more time drawing my character than I did. I actually went to an auto roller and just rolled a random bard 5th level, because I'm swapping out a character. We've been in the game for 5 levels, but the character I was playing, wasn't really hitting what I wanted. So I swapped her out with a tiefling bard, but I needed to have a 5th level character to swap with. So I just went to this random 5e generator and then just transferred everything over. So, nice. But I spent more time on the portrait because I was like, random. Yep, I accept that.
That looks good enough as a bard.
That's good enough. 5th level. So she's got like random skills, which is actually kind of fun. Because I'm like we were in our first fight. I'm like, well, okay, let's see what I can do to help this fight out. I've got this. Nah, I won't help. I've got this. So then she ended up like casting fear, which is fine. It worked because all the bad guys ran from her, but of course all the good guys did too. So now all of my other fellow players are like, I don't think we like her.
I'm slightly intimidated by her now. I don't understand why.
I don't know why. She's terrifying.
That's awesome.
It was pretty funny. Well, one of the players is playing an autistic character because
Oh,
he's got an autistic son, and
okay.
so he thought it'd be interesting to play to kind of feel that that thing.
Get him,
How to,
like,
how to
try
really,
and see if you can get close enough to that headspace.
right, kind of understand the headspace. So of course my fear brought up the thing that poor character was most terrified of, and the character ended up wetting himself and sitting in the corner and crying. And it's the big fighter, and so you know now he's really mad at the tiefling because he's like she's this little tiefling, and he's like really mad at her because he thinks she did it, but he can't be sure because he won't ask her because he's not going to talk to her because she's new to the party and stuff like that, and so
Uh-huh.
he's got anxiety. So he can't talk to her, and
That's
so
awesome.
but he thinks she did it.
That's fantastic.
And of course, they just rescued her in the story plot. So she didn't know. She had no idea.
Yeah.
And
That's
she was just like, I can help with this. So, and fear is a pretty powerful third level spell.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's pretty
That
fun.
is true.
It's a thing. But that's why we play role-playing games, is because of these wonderful stories that we get out of it. We don't
Right.
That's what we like about this, is like all these funny stories about what the hell happened last night.
Yeah, I don't know. I love role-playing is a lot of fun.
Right?
My life's so busy right now. Like, the closest thing I get to roleplay is watching, like, Critical Role or something.
Fair. I actually like to listen to Critical Role when I'm drawing.
Yeah. I was doing it last night while I was working on this model.
Yeah, I promised Brent that I wouldn't build any more star maps, so I won't build star maps with my new map making program. But Brent should know that I'm thinking it loudly.
Brent, are you saying there's a problem with the star maps?
No, I went through a lot of last year, like March, April, May, and June.
Ooh, that's not.
During that time, I was working really hard on getting my star maps to be accurate. So I had downloaded star data.
Yeah.
And I was trying to convert all of the way we do stars is, how high up from the equator is the star, how far from 0 degrees in the night sky is the star, and then how far away is the star, right? And but I needed an X and a Y. And
3 weeks straight of star maps, nothing but star maps.
Right? And so I had to go through all of this math to get it right, because I wanted to make all the stars in the right spot. So I had to convert everything. And that was what took the most time for me, was all the
conversion.
Damn conversion from right ascension, declination, and distance to XYZ. Jeez. Because it's all trigonometry, and I suck at math. So every time I tried to do the trig on it, I'd end up messing it all up, and I ended up with stars all over the place.
That's fair.
And it was like, meh. So yeah.
I was like, man, how dare.
Well, I mean, like, I think I was doing the I am Groot all the time to it. That's my new favorite thing when I get mad at stuff is, teenage Groot. I am Groot. That's like my favorite thing. So, but yeah, he's not wrong. It was 3 weeks straight of star maps.
That's a lot of time with star maps.
It was a lot of time with star maps. All right.
I'm gonna pull that out. We still have, yeah, they do. Whoops. That's funny. 3 weeks straight of star maps.
Yeah, he was like really tired of the star. I don't blame him.
Like, no more
of the star maps.
I like hanging out with you, guy, but no more star maps.
Right? I'll hang out with you, but No more of those star maps.
Once you pull out star maps, I'm gone.
Yep.
Oh, that's funny. All right, let's see here. Where would
the first scene that we've got.
Oh, okay.
The first, and I'm just going to leave
like
it
the first, and I was like, my anticipation.
Anticipation. Okay, that's a freaking Rocky Horror reference there.
It was more you just stopping at and first. I was like,
yeah, and the first.
God, you can't just leave us hanging like that.
The first picture here is, we've got to do sort of the main character looking out over the ocean.
Cool. Good. Let it be so.
Yep.
Let them fight.
So now I feel like that's not far enough out there. So we'll do that. I have moved the horizon line. Thanks. They require clarification.
Who?
Or they require sketches.
Oh, got it. I thought you meant the people, like everybody watching. I was like, Brent needs clarification.
Yeah, my Airship 27 requires sketches.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is totally fine.
Yep. Why is this not center? Center for me. Thank you. There we go. That means you're not center. But now you are. Almost.
Maybe I need this pier to be further out. I don't know.
All right. So, how do I? So,
He just requires a beer.
There we go.
And you can do the thing where you're like, all right, brain, you and I have not always gotten along.
But today. That was weird.
I need to make sure that my ships don't look like sailing ships because this is a steampunk adventure.
Steampunk!
Steampunk! Wow!
Sorry.
What was that?
Spam phone call.
Oh, okay. Boy, that was a lot of noise for a spam phone call.
True. You're not wrong.
Right? Like, come on, people. Stop. And what is it with the spammers?
I have so many of them.
It's actually
I can tell you exactly what the reasoning is, but
yeah. Is it election day?
No, it's my father.
Oh.
Ever since he put me on, so there's a few things. ever since he put me on his house, because he's like, if I die, it's easier for the transfer. I'm like, that's cool. All right, whatever. I get that. I've gotten so many different phone calls from that. But now that since he is literally just on his own all the time and has the internet,
right?
And my phone number's attached to like a few of his things, I get all the phone calls now. And I'm like, Dad, I love you, but
right,
it's not worth it. But yeah, it is what it is. Let's change this view to front view. That is front view. So I've been building this backwards. Back view.
Oh, I hate that.
Not really. I know what it's doing. It's the wow, these are way off.
No, I mean I just hate I realize because I do that all the time in DAS. I'll load it in, and then I'll start loading the model and I'll start doing all the work, and then I'll realize that it's facing 180 degrees out. And you're like, so you have to always go to the rear view to see the front of it, and the front view to see the back of it, because otherwise, and
then you wait till the end, so you can just take that one piece and just do a quick group it all, rotate it all together, so it's like cool now. It's facing the right way,
right?
Yeah, for this one, it's facing this way because of how it's set up in the scene. Because I just extracted all the parts because I'm like, all right, most of this is already done. I don't want to sit here and rebuild everything.
Yeah.
Even though I'm kind of looking at it now with certain things, like maybe I should.
Right? All right. I am looking over the manuscript.
A manuscript?
The manuscript.
Oh, manuscript.
Yep.
Not a manuscript?
A manuscript. What's a script for the menus?
Come on. There we go. Edge loop. Let's go. So, here.
So we will make a note here as well. I am noting in things. I'm actually using like all of the cool things in illustration 3.
Good. All right. Now,
so means I've lost the other one, of course. Well, it's one of those things. It's like I'm trying to get all the illustrations out of the book. So I've got the Word document that is her book. And I have to put the illustrations in on each page.
Right.
And that's cool.
Okay, there we
go. But it's still, there we go. That's illustration 2. There we go. So I'm just trying to, if I go on ahead and make comments in this document, then to the right in the comment field is a flag for every one of these illustrations, which makes it easy for me to get to it.
True.
I also set, if I can set sort of like, there's got to be a way to add it to the, how do I add it to the, because this is my copy. And so the only thing I'm really interested in is not chapters. right? I'm looking for whatever it is that would put it so that the chapters are here or whatever. So set the chapter here. Is that in design? No. Is that in draw? No, probably not. Insert. Maybe like chapter break or something. I don't know.
What are you?
I'm just trying to find a way to maybe bookmark.
Maybe. That's close enough to what I'm going for.
That's not it. Link?
This is so.
That's not. Japanese greetings.
Konichi.
Right? I'm like, well, I don't know why I've got that as an option, but it's cool. I mean, honestly, legitimately, I write letters that are in Japanese. So clearly it's figured that out somehow, but yeah.
It knows you, guy.
I'm like, okay.
You'll never leave, guy.
Yeah.
You'll be stuck here forever.
It is true.
Forever.
It never ends. It never ends. Endless.
What is happening?
I've become part of the collective.
You're a part of the cult.
Yep.
Welcome.
We are Microsoft at Borg.
Oh no. Oh no.
Although clearly that's Facebook that's trying to.
Metabook.
The thing that really sucks is I think Facebook will succeed. I don't know if there's any way to stop it at this point.
It's whatever. I'm not gonna stop it. There's not much we can do about it.
I'm just gonna try to be more positive on Facebook and social media in general.
Is that it?
I mean, honestly, I need social media to keep in touch with people and to do my job. So I can't just dump it and walk away. I watched that happen with Raph. He dumped it and walked away and then got no work.
Realized he needed it.
Yeah, he got no work.
I was waiting for that one when he said that. I was like, okay.
You're like, well,
have fun. And then he was back, and then he's just like he doesn't stay on it like he used to, but
it's probably better that way.
Yeah, I mean he was getting in digital arguments all the time.
And that's what I get into all the time. That's my biggest problem. And it doesn't help any that, like today's argument, I've got a buddy in Australia who is kind of stuck in the conservative lines of things.
Sure.
And so, but he's not, he keeps hearing it, but he doesn't buy it. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, I don't know, this sounds fishy sometimes. So because of that, I actually like discussing stuff with him because sometimes he's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. You know what I mean? Instead of you're just a liberal or whatever, and then just write me off and then not talk to me anymore.
Actually, like have a conversation instead of just
we can have like a normal conversation. But today he posted a thing where it was a meme going around. He's like, I'm wondering what Guy has to say about this. But the meme was, electric cars. If all of our cars were electric, then during a big snowstorm, they'd all die in the middle of the road and nobody would get out. And then you'd have all these people dying. And you liberals are just not thinking about that.
What?
And I'm like, okay. I said, well, first of all, it's clearly fear mongering because the biggest concern that people have with electric cars is range anxiety. If you get a car, will it die on you? So, but
like, why would you die? You still have shelter. You have a car. It's a shelter.
Well, and what I said was, most Coloradans know better than to not have a blanket in their car because
do they?
This is a thing that every year since I was a kid, I remember hearing about them going out and finding people dead in their car because they ran out of gas somewhere in the mountains.
I mean, yeah, I get that part, but I mean, like,
and so what I said was, that seems like that's pretty much you run out of gas and die, or you run out of electricity and you die. I don't see any difference here. That doesn't seem like you're any worse off in electric.
Sure.
And then I said, but what I said was, the biggest problem was that people keep seeing electrics as, you leave your house and within 5 minutes the batteries are half dead, and then 10 minutes it's completely dead and you're stuck on the side of the road.
Yeah.
I said, no, I got 300 miles on the Leaf. That's the same as a tank of gas.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, here's the thing. And I went out and took a picture of my wife's car because it's plugged in the garage. And I said, and here's the deal. We have a gas station in our garage. Can you say that? Right? I mean,
true.
The big thing is every night she plugs it in. And so she's got a full 300 miles every morning when she leaves.
Nice.
Whereas the Jetta keeps running out of gas everywhere. Right. Like I keep, I have to stop at a gas station and get more gas. Me.
Your wife's like, oh, really?
Damn it. And it's going to cost me $60.
Yeah, gas is expensive right now, and it's ridiculous.
That's the other thing. Like, it only cost us like $300 extra last year. Not even 300. It's like 283 or something like that. Mm-hmm. We calculated it in electricity for the whole year for that car.
That's crazy.
$280 bucks for the whole year. I'm like, that's 1 month for my Jetta.
I mean, the nice part is though, but you also have to have a place to like install all that as well.
Yes.
Like, if you don't own a house, you don't get that. And right. I totally understand that concept. Like,
and
that's like my boss has 3 Teslas.
Right. Exactly.
And I'm looking at him like, how'd you get 3 Teslas? He's like, well, 2 of them are my roommates. I'm like, okay, that makes more sense. But still.
Well, and since we own this house, when we had them upgrade our power box on the outside, I had them run 2 dryer lines effectively to the garage.
Mm-hmm.
So the garage now has 2, what are those, 220s? So my wife's car now charges in 4 hours from completely dead.
That's pretty cool.
It'll be completely charged back up in 4 hours. So we can drive all the way to Fort Collins, come back here, plug the thing in, and 4 hours later, drive to Colorado Springs, come back here, plug it in. 4 hours later, drive back to Fort Collins. You can't do that in a gas car without gassing up all the time, And that's the thing. People just, they're really big on discrediting electric cars.
Well, yeah, it's because it's something new. It's supposed to be attacking the industry that we've had we're in such a big capitalist society that if we attack the capitalist side of it, like the big oil companies, like people start getting annoyed, people start freaking out because it's something that's not like you just don't do.
Yeah. Well, and that I was having that problem also. It was like, I'm not trying to attack capitalism, but I mean, but here's the thing. If you run my Jetta out of gas, it messes up the computer.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to take the car to VW and pay them $100 for them to reset the computer before you can run your car again.
Ew.
So, and I said, and that's not new. My 1994 Subaru Justy had the same problem.
Justy.
Yeah, I know. It was the best car on the planet. It was the Justy. It had a 3-cylinder engine. It was beautiful.
Nice.
It was a 3-cylinder engine with a 5-speed. And I love that car. And I drove it into the ground and then gave it to my buddy Aaron, who's a car guy. And he revived it and then ran it into the ground again.
Nice.
So that car went to the crusher after living a very, very good life.
Good job on keeping it in the family.
Yeah. It was like 350,000 miles or something like that. 400,000 miles before we finally ran on a 3-cylinder. I mean, it was, it's one of those weird. It was back in the days when the Geo Metro and all of those were trying to get 3-cylinder cars out.
Uh-huh.
So Subaru made a 3-cylinder car for like 4 or 5 years. It was one of those. But yeah, it had the same problem. If you ran it out of gas, you had to go reset the computer to get it to start again.
Mm-hmm.
No, not you. Computer, stop. Thank you. So
she's lonely. Give her attention,
right?
guy.
Just lonely. Cue Brent saying red alert. So
Cube Brent.
Cue Brent saying red alert because he will.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean that's the thing is like it doesn't need to be that way.
No.
It's only that way because they know that they can get an extra $100 out of you for being stupid.
Mm-hmm.
So every time you run your car out of gas because you're an idiot, they get $100 out of you. And so I said, the truth is, all those cars would still be stuck in the snow, and they'd all be stuck in the snow because of greed.
Yep.
They'd be just as stuck as the electric cars because you wouldn't be able to just throw a tank of gas into them and then get them started again.
Right.
They'd be just as stuck. And I'm like, so everybody's. This starts saying, do you want Skynet? Because this is how you get Skynet.
You want Skynet? This is how you get Skynet. True.
Oh man,
that's great. That was good.
I always say please and thank you, and everybody always makes fun of me. And then I realized I was rewatching Star Trek season 2 when Sonia Gomez was on there, and Sonia Gomez was saying please and thank you to the computers, and Geordi was like, you don't have to say that, and she's like, well, they're semi-sentient, so it seems only reasonable we should be nice to them, da, 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 da. And I was like, I think I picked it up from her.
This makes sense. Hold
makes
on.
Sense. 1988. That would make sense because I would have been printed at that point in time. So,
but she's not wrong,
and she's not wrong.
Yeah. She isn't. That's the other part. I'm like, no, you're right. That's a thing we got to think about later on.
Yep.
Especially with how AI systems are working right now. I'm like, yeah, we're not that far from that future.
Yep.
That is just so it's my angle is off. Okay. What else am I doing wrong? I know what else I'm doing wrong. We are those do that. No, not that one.
The second time around on this one, I get a lot more of a feel of what they want to do. I love this kind of thing because, like, now I know what they're after with their pulp, So
what kind of fiction they're going for?
Yeah,
that's cool. Who's this work for?
This is for Airship 27. This is Ron Fortier's.
Yeah, Fortier. Okay. He's a good guy.
Yeah, he is. He's a really good guy.
I've only talked to him like twice in my lifetime, but both times are really good.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. I dig him.
Mm-hmm. Because he's what, Fort Collins?
Yeah, he's Fort Collins.
Yeah.
But but he's also like he's done a lot of work with. I mean, obviously, he was on Green Hornet for a long time.
Oh yeah, that's what he did.
And Black Bat and like a lot of stuff from those imprints.
Right.
And now he's doing his own house.
Oh, is he?
Doing pulp. Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah. And so that's what we're after here is Airship 27 is his own publishing house. And so what he does is he gets people like me to come in and illustrate these like pulp.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how many people were in this fight. I hope there's more than these guys. I hope there's 3. I should probably go back and look. But because I thought there were 4 total in this fight. 4 bad guys and 2 good guys. Anyway.
That's cool. He's trying to start his own publishing house.
He's starting his own house, and
that's not what I wanted.
So we do. He'll get a writer together. In this case, Nancy Hansen is a writer in Connecticut, and she does a lot of this pulpy stuff that's really cool. And she does things that edge into different genres. This is a dystopian future / steampunk. That's cool. It's got a lot of steampunk going for it, but it's also got, automated
everything.
Robots that wander the deserts and try to kill each other, So
that's cool. All right.
It's got all kinds of stuff going for it. But I did the first book, and it looks really awesome, and I love that first book. So now they were like, do the second book. I'm like, sweet. So I'm in on the second book.
Can do.
And I'm like, and so I'm trying to. They drop the 2 women off at the bottom of the stairs, and then
Oh, so this. Whoa! What am I doing?
The major port was the most powerful player in his or her part of the continent. So gangs, organized criminals. Whoever these guys were, they wasted no time. Passing quickly behind the building where they had left the girls, both men could hear the stealthy footsteps approaching rapidly now. As the first of the heavies came at Alfie, David Shepard drew his service blaster and took a beat on him. So somebody got him from behind. So it doesn't say how many people we have. So 3 is fine.
Creative freedom. I mean, they'll come back to you like, oh, it's actually supposed to be this. So I didn't see the number. Oh. That's a normal thing.
Yeah. I'm just going to put him on the ground here.
Yeah, that was one of my questions I kept asking everybody when I went to Comic-Con this week. Was how is it different? Do you notice the differences between Fan Expo running it or DCC running it?
Oh boy, did I see a lot of that.
And I was really curious on like how much difference there was. Because I saw the differences as an attendee of the 2 companies.
Mm-hmm.
But it definitely, I definitely saw these guys they're new. They don't understand Colorado yet. They're still getting there,
Yeah. Well, I saw that one definitely, but I also saw a lot of organization problems.
Yeah.
It took me almost like an hour to find Raph.
Oh yeah, you were telling me about that. Yeah, you were there and you actually found Raph. I didn't. I actually texted him. He's like, "Oh, we just left." I was like, "Son of a."
Yeah, well, I mean, it took me an hour to find them, and they were snuggled between 2 really huge booths.
Yep.
And oh man, so I'm at the
because they don't go for artist alley tables; they go for dealer tables. Last time I checked.
No, they were in Artist Alley.
Oh, they were?
Yeah, well, and that was part of the problem was that they had hung up all of these banners that said 100, 200, 300. They had the ones like they did before.
Yeah.
And Raph was in 300, but the banners only applied to the dealers.
Are you serious?
So the artist alley was started at 0 and then went back and forth across the hallway,
Oh,
across the entire
that
hallway
makes more
this
sense
way,
now.
where all of the other ones, the 100, 200, 300 went this way. So artist alley is going this way, and all of the dealers are going this way with banners over them.
That
So
makes sense
I
why
spent
I was
forever
having a
going
hard
up and
time
down
finding
the 300 aisle
it.
and couldn't find it. And we couldn't figure it out until we started seeing the table numbers, which most people had a drape over, or
Yeah, blocked them out.
yeah,
Yep.
they blocked over it, but not intentionally, but they, that's just what we do, right? We put our things out. So
Yep.
you couldn't read the numbers on the table to find out that it was going from 0 to like 10, and then back to 20, and then 30, and then 40, and then 50, going down the rows. So it was impossible to find anybody.
So that was actually, I was going to say, that's actually one reason why, like, I try and keep my table numbers available.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
because I know how people are.
Now
I
I
know
think about it. Yeah.
Like, people are always looking for the thing, and you could be in the row 300, but they don't know what part of the 300 they're in. And instead of going, like, then they feel rude coming up to you as the artist and be like, hey, I'm not looking at your stuff. I'm actually trying to find a person. Which table number are you? Because I've had that once or twice.
Yeah.
And it's very rare, but it still happens. But I feel bad for them where they could just look, because it's usually the introvert,
yeah,
the super introvert who doesn't want to talk to anybody. You can just see it in their face.
Yeah.
And you can just like show them like, oh, I'm table 301. They're like, oh, cool. I'm looking for 305. So that means that they're this way. I'm like, yes. So, but it also adds to the helping out with non-chaos.
Right.
But that would make so much more sense on their numbering system. Because I was trying to figure out a lot of that stuff. Like when I was there, I was like, where the heck am I? Because I ran up and down the three, because I was looking for Raph. And I ran up and down the 300 area, and I didn't see him. I went up and down it like 3 times. I was like, okay, I'm missing something here. So then I ran around again. And then Raph finally texted me back, and he was like,
yeah, we're gone.
No, we just left. I was like, oh, never mind. He's like,
well, that's the other thing, is like, he was at 306, and I'm like looking at 306, and it's like a toy market or something like that. It's a toy dealer. Yeah. Well, and I finally find him, right? I finally find him once Troy and I had figured out that they were going in this weird numbering system.
That the number system was wrong.
Then we decided to go, we followed the numbers until we got to the 300s, and we found them. And they were literally between 2 booths, which had huge grid wall on either side. So you wouldn't have found them unless you literally walked over and looked right at them between these 2 grid wall pieces. And they were just sitting there, and I was like, how have you done? And he's like, we've sold nothing. The whole weekend, we've sold nothing.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh, that's brutal. That is brutal. He's like, it's acting like an anime con.
Anywhere close to cheap either this year, too.
Right? And he was like, this is the last time we'll ever do this. And I was like, oh. And then we went over, and while I was there, Norin showed up.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, good. And he's like, of course, he found us because we're in our green jerseys, right? We're in Geek Tank livery. Yeah. So it's easy to spot us. That's the whole reason we do it. You can see us, from like a mile away because we're wearing the green hockey jerseys.
Mm-hmm.
And so Norin found us and was like, oh, good. I found you. And, oh, look, I found Raph. And I'm like, yeah, I can't find anybody else. And he's like, I can take you to Todd. So Raph and I followed Norin to Todd's table.
Yep.
Todd Jones. And so we got to talk to Todd, but Todd had said he'd done better, but he was on the side of the artist alley where there weren't huge grid walls.
True.
So you could see his table coming up on it and leaving it.
Mm-hmm.
So
I found Todd.
Yeah. And so we talked to Todd, and we were talking about the idea that all of us should be in the same clump. So Wicked West, he's going to try to put us all in the same spot so that we're all clumped together, all of the tables, which that's probably better.
Probably, yeah.
Well, if nothing else.
I talked to him for a minute, but he was kind of, it just seemed like he was like a little, like he had other stuff on his brain. So I was like, all right, cool. I'll talk to you later.
He's got family problems right now.
Oh, that makes more sense.
And it's not, it's the normal family problems. He's got a declining parent. So
that makes a lot of sense now. Okay.
And it's that whole thing.
I get that.
2021 has been brutal to our parents.
It's been brutal for a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it has been brutal for a lot, but I mean, in my group,
yeah,
Troy lost his mom. I lost my dad. My buddy Kevin lost his mom.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, like, whoa. And that's just this year. I mean, in this, and in a block too. Like, I lost dad in June. Kevin lost his mom in July, and Troy just lost his mom last month. So, like in a clump right here, and that's and I'm talking about my core friends of like what 10 people.
Yeah.
You know, my core friends, the ones that I'm most close that I've been with for 25, 30 years now. And we've lost 3 parents in that 10 group, that group of 10, you know,
it's like, a lot.
Wow. And none of those were COVID related. They were just, you know, my dad had COPD. He was going downhill. We all knew it. Nobody was unfamiliar with that.
Right.
But Kevin's mom had a widowmaker heart attack and died in the kitchen.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, it was like brutal.
Damn.
Troy's mom was COVID adjacent. She went into the hospital with kidney failure and then got that COVID sucks. In the hospital.
Yeah.
But she was vaccinated, so she recovered, but her body took a lot of damage anyway from all the other stuff. So she just didn't recover from all of that.
Right.
But it wasn't COVID that killed her. It was kidney failure.
Right. But like you said, COVID adjacent though.
Yeah. But COVID, I'm sure, did not do her any favors.
Did not help.
Yeah. So, and that's a bummer because like you get to a point where you're with all of these people for so many years, you start to know their parents. Like all of my friends are, I mean, it's hitting all of us because the core group of 10 people, we know all these people, you know, like it's not
she made me breakfast before.
Right. Well, my kid was about to go to outdoor lab, which got canceled because of a COVID outbreak. Yay.
Right.
But he was about to go to outdoor lab and he had the blanket that Troy's mom made her.
Oh.
You know, because he's carrying that everywhere now because he misses her. You know? And it's like, oh, dude. That's I mean, because now he's lost a grandpa.
And heartbreaking.
You know, and this person whom he still loved, even though she wasn't biologically related.
Yeah, she wasn't blood, but she was.
Yeah.
No, I'm right there with you. I get it.
So
we all have family, like we all have friends and that are that way though. Like or hopefully people do.
Right. It's a thing.
That sucks.
It really does.
A little bit more. We'll bring that back down. Yeah, that looks better. All right, we're getting there.
Yeah, let's figure out Big Georgie Rushman. This is the next character we have to deal with.
Georgie Rushman?
Georgie Rushman was a big, stocky man.
That's awesome.
And the chair he leaned back in creaked ominously beneath his bulk.
I like it.
So I feel like this guy is.
That's looking better in space. All right.
I feel like I'm not back on me either. Bork. There we go. You guys can watch my face as I draw. So there.
Look at that intent.
Right. And make him big and bulky in the chair. Yeah, you should have stood up whenever we had the half break there.
Yeah, we probably should have.
Right.
I probably should have. Really? so short. No, damn it. Right. The joys of this. If I do that, yeah, that's not what I wanted. Let's do that. It's saying it's about there, right? Yeah. And it comes up, then out. So it's all in one big block. Okay.
Because it's pulp, the girl is dressed in a camouflaged cat suit.
What?
I think this is hysterical. The girl is dressed in a camouflaged cat suit.
I'm going to say it again. What? Okay. That's cool.
I'm entertained by this.
Camouflage cat suit. Yeah, no, actually, one of my friends, it's her second show ever was that. Was Fan Expo. And she's like, I did so much better at NDK. I reasoned with her for a second. I was like, all right, well, here's a few things you want to think about. First off, it's your second show. I get what you're going for. Did you at least break even? She's like, yeah, I'm about even. I'm like, that's good. That's a good start for a second show.
Right.
But also, you never know. She sells trinkets. She makes like resin, like pendants and things like that. And I was like, you are also selling to a specific person as well. Like only specific, like people that are actually wanting this kind of stuff are going to show up and get it.
Right.
And she's like, yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm like, so you really, until you do enough shows to fully understand your market, who knows? You could be an anime show person because that's the only, like, that's where your stuff works. Like, you have to go to anime shows because those are the only shows that actually work for you. Comic shows, probably not. You never know until you actually get enough shows under your belt to understand that.
Right. Right.
Which kind of brought her back. She was like, okay, yeah, I understand where you're coming from. Like, she was feeling better about it, I think. I'm hoping. After I talked to her a little bit about it. I was like, I did better at anime shows, but I still went to comic shows because for me, like, it was just fun.
Yeah, and you never know. I mean, like,
I could have just had that bad year, and that was the year that no one wanted to actually buy anything from me.
Right. I'm looking forward to Wicked West because I already paid for the table. I paid for the table back in 19. You know, because Todd was like, hey, you want to go to Wicked West 2020? And oh, yeah, sure. And then COVID hit, and then Wicked West didn't have a 2020. Mm-hmm. But I had already paid for the table, so he's moved it to 2021. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to be at Hexacon first. But I'm still going to be doing I'll draw your character for you.
Which one's Hexacon?
Hexacon, Shiny Garden, it's a gaming con.
That's a tabletop one, right?
It's tabletop, yeah.
Yeah.
But they've got an RPG contingent, and what I'll do is I'll say, give me your character specs, and I'll draw your character.
That's not what I wanted. Yeah.
So I actually make pretty decent money.
Yeah, because that's kind of what we used to do.
Right. It's what you guys did, but you didn't charge.
We did it in tips, but
right.
I mean, if we got the commission side of it, we took it.
Sure.
Like I did that all the time when I was at shows.
The whole point was fast commissions. I've got a little red printer, and so I would take the printer and I'd make sure it had, a full set of cartridges, and then go in there. And what I would do is just set up, plug the computer into the printer, and plug the printer into the wall, and just sit there and draw the character, set it up, rig it, print it.
Yep.
And then I had a bunch of like preset poses that I made out of in DAZ. So just had a bunch of preset poses that you could, and so you'd come over, you'd tell me what your character was dressed like, what kind of character he was, I take some quick notes, and I'd have it for you in about 2 hours.
See? Perfect.
$40. So I was charging 40. I'm going to charge 50, I think, this year.
That's fair.
Because that worked pretty well.
I mean, you've gotten faster.
I've gotten faster. Yeah.
What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. Whoa. That was weird. All right, let's try that again. Whoop.
Camouflaged cat suit, huh? Don't even know what to say about that.
It reminds me of so there was a thing that was going around online for a minute. I just found it. I thought it was hilarious. It was about the things that your parents tell you and they traumatize you as kids for life.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy was talking about his mom would traumatize him with this idea that there was a cat. If you didn't clean the house, a lady in a leopard suit would come out and start cleaning everything. Well, there's a picture of him and his brother on the couch freaking out because she literally was in a full body leopard print suit in the spandex, vacuuming the whole house around the kids when they wouldn't actually keep the house clean. And the face that the kids had was like pure terror. And she wouldn't never. He actually told the story. Is like she would never say anything. She would just show up, start vacuuming the house if we never cleaned the house afterwards. And so anytime that we never did, we found out later on because someone came up with that exact same story while he was in the office and explained it to him. And he was like, hold on, wait, she's not real.
Who's mom?
And that's when he texted his mom, and he was like, Mom, I hate you so much right now. You've mortified me for years. And I was like, that is fantastic.
She's apparently throwing knives.
Now she's throwing knives? Perfect.
In her cat suit.
So leopard print business suit?
Leopard print business suit. Just saying. All right. We got 3 of these guys in, and I'm feeling pretty done. I've only read about this far into the story anyway, so.
Oh, that's fair.
I don't want to go too far in. Yeah, apparently that's the guy that sent all the guys to fight. I found welcome back, Brent. I found a
business meeting.
An interesting. I was talking to Ron about this, and he puts the illustrations at equal distances in the story. So because of that, the illustrations they're not always at the high points or the beats of the story, which I find fascinating. Because he puts them equally, like, let's say it isn't, but let's say the book is 800 pages long and you need 8 illustrations. He'll put them at the 100 page, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800 point.
Mm-hmm.
So it's equal. And I find that really fascinating because you end up with an illustration at a very regular pace in the book, but it also means that you end up with illustrations of a fight, and then the next one's the guy standing there looking. And then the next one is, hi, I'm the introductory character. And then the next one is this guy working on this thing. And it's like, that's kind of cool in its own way because I get or I get to stretch out my legs a little bit. It's not just all fights all the time or whatever, which I kind of like. I mean, I really dig that. So anyway, yeah, I'm having fun. Actually kind of having fun drawing all these things. So I was working on I'll actually switch over now because we'll go ahead and flatten this because I'm okay with it now, and we'll say save. Boy, it took a long time for it to save.
If we do this.
Oh. Now we'll go back to this one. I was saying, check out my lighting on this one.
Oh, yeah. You were working on it yesterday.
Yeah. Look at that lighting, though. Isn't that cool?
Looks great. Yeah.
I'm all excited. Like, I'm doing a really good job of that backlight effect. I dig that. So.
Fill hole. Here. Vertex it.
Brent is back.
I want these.
He went to lunch.
Oh, is that where he went?
Well, that's what he's telling us. He's secretly on missions.
So, there we go. Okay, that's good. He's on missions. Brent's doing Brent things.
He's on that, we've deployed him on a mission. All right. Let's get in here and what am I doing? Does anybody know?
I don't.
What am I doing?
I don't know what you're doing. What are you?
I don't know what I'm doing either. Who left me in charge? Don't you know better?
Right.
I'm going to go ahead and pull this back across like so.
Really? Hold on. Oh, that sucks. Damn. Okay. Hooey.
Yeah.
Sportster.
We're fluffy. We're not fat. We're fluffy. Unlike Colton, who still needs another sandwich.
I've tried.
You're like, it doesn't help.
It doesn't.
It doesn't help.
I'm sorry. I've tried my hardest.
Well, that's not good enough. It's not good enough. No, it's all good.
Right.
It's all good.
I get multiple
In
angles.
Theory,
no.
Someday you'll...
No angles. How dare?
Do you have any angle problems?
Oh, I'm looking for this specific gas tank, and it's only giving me shots in one angle. I'm like, can I get multiples? No.
Anything?
Okay.
Bueller. Yeah.
No, I don't get at least a front, back, and side. Okay.
You're not allowed to. You can't handle the front, back, and side.
I'm sorry.
Erg.
Maybe you guys have one. Let's see. This name sounds familiar. Sounds like something. Yeah. Oh, here we go.
And then
we got a bottom view. All right.
Whoa.
Even though I don't need that, but hey, I'll take it.
Hey, yeah. Take it easy.
All right. Shift F. Oh, Shift F. There we go. Frame it. Need you. This camera.
We're just adding a little bit of shape to her. Because she's got no shape.
Left view. Is that the one? Yeah, there we go. That's
sort of what flats are all about, though.
No shape.
Yeah. Colton needs to eat a whole pizza.
Yeah.
He's like, challenge accepted.
Did that last week.
You're like, I've done that. Didn't help.
It's 11:30 here. It beats back, I see.
That's what we're talking about. That's why we're saying we're not fat, we're fluffy.
Mm-hmm.
Big boned.
Big boned.
That, though it is, I mean, obviously, like, I'm overweight, but the funny part is that I have always had huge shoulders. So really, like, my shirts haven't changed size.
Mm-hmm.
I can't, even when I was your size-ish, I had huge shoulders either way.
You're like, ish.
Well,
sorry.
It's all good. I was, when I was your age, I was your size too. So
I know, you showed me pictures.
Yep. So, I mean, it was like, but
I remember being your size. I'm like, what? You're like, here you go. And I was like, oh, wow, you were.
I really was. I was a little guy, except that I wasn't. That was the whole point. Like, I had huge shoulders. So, like, all my clothes are the same. Nothing's really changed. I mean, like, my pants have, but like my t-shirts are the same.
Right.
I still wear the same t-shirts that I was wearing before. Oh, my wife got me an awesome t-shirt for Christmas.
Oh.
She saw it and she was like, well, this is yours. So it's Stitch in a dress as Santa. He's ho ho ho.
Ho ho ho. That's awesome.
I'm like, that's so cool. And she's like, right? I knew you'd love it.
Like Lilo and Stitch?
Yeah.
Nice.
I love Stitch.
Oh, same. I love what they did with that whole series. The creator was actually from Colorado. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yep, he's from Arvada.
That's up here.
I did a whole research on it one day because I was really curious. I'm like, who actually came up with like the designs and all this other stuff? Blah blah blah. Nope, he's from Colorado.
Oh, there you go.
Well, it used to be. He lives in California still, but
well, of course. I mean, it's what my dad was on me for. He wasn't wrong. He's like, if you're serious about being an artist, you need to move to California.
Chris Sanders.
Yeah. He wasn't wrong. I mean,
no, yeah, that's kind of where I'm like, I want to do it. But, yeah. It's a lot to think about.
Well, and that was my problem is like, well.
But also, like, a lot of the places a lot of people are, like, changing to different areas as well. So I'm always like,
Well, yeah, we've got kind of a different world we're working at now. I mean, but this wasn't the case 10 years ago when my dad was on me for this. So, I mean, it's like, though true, certainly, he was on my case for this. He's like, you should move to California if you really want to get into the animation industry.
If you wanted to go this route. Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to. And he's like, well, okay, that's a choice. And he wasn't wrong per se, although now obviously looking at it, it's kind of a different story now. It's like, I kind of feel like at this point we are looking at a different world, but who would have known that COVID would have happened? That's
yeah. I mean,
that's something we could have
even
predicted.
if you take COVID out of it, like COVID's the thing that's changed a lot of the market for a lot of people. That's why I'm curious what's going to happen, because like for me specifically, like I wanted to go into video games.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a lot of those industries went to working from home and keeping a lot of people home. But at the same time, a lot of them are also, moving to different states because it's cheaper.
Yeah.
Corporation-wise, it's cheaper.
I mean, we lost Brent for effectively a similar kind of thing there. I mean, it's cheaper out where he is.
Yeah. Which I understand everything about it. Like, I get the whole supply demand. I get the whole business side of it. It's just that, like, when you already have your plan, you're like, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Now you're like, now I got to revise because this might change.
Right. Well, I'm
able lonely and then starts kind of... Sorry, I'm rereading all the old text. Sorry. I was
that's
laughing.
Okay. You do you, boo. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that,
like, there are perks of having things in house.
Yeah.
There's also perks with people working from home. Like, there's a lot of perks on both sides, but I don't know where it's gonna go. I don't know when it's gonna happen, but I like the idea of in-house personally.
Yep.
And the only reason for that is that you actually are bumping elbows with the person next to you. Like, I feel it creates a healthier competition. Being able to, like, especially in like the concept world, where you could be like, you and me, guy, like, we're both working on the same concepts for this one thing. We both can look over each other's shoulders and be like, oh, I didn't even think of that idea. Crap. And like try and implement it into your stuff and just kind of go back and forth. But it's a healthier competition. It's not a like, I'm better than you,
Right. Because you're not looking for that anyway. None of us are. I mean, obviously.
No. I mean, that's the kind of thing I was trying to not implement, but like get through people's heads when we were doing the Red Team Go thing, is like, there's a difference between competition as artists and the competition that they were thinking that people were always terrified about. Because every time we ever brought up competition, like during Red Team Go or whatnot, people would get all like scared and like, oh, it's not right. We shouldn't be competing against each other. I'm like, it's not an actual competition. Yeah, a collaboration of being in the office compared to out in the office. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what I was trying to get to, like, in people's heads is like, this is to show you where people are at also.
Well, and
that also shows you like where your limitations are at compared to looking at someone else who's in the competition that's going for the same prize you are, and realizing at the end of it is like, oh, I know where I could have gone better.
Right, but on the same token, I mean, honestly, I can see what you're doing right now.
What do you mean?
You're building a motorcycle.
Oh, we're talking about this. Got it.
Right, but I mean, I can see. So I don't need to be in your house,
right,
to see what you're doing right now.
Oh yeah, no, and I get that part too.
I mean, like, totally. I would only do one side if I were you.
And just flip it.
Yeah, mirror it. Yep,
that's true.
Because otherwise, you're going to spend forever trying to get the left side to match the right side.
That's true.
You want a teardrop look, so I wouldn't even bother with
kind of a teardrop, yeah.
So speaking of helping one another,
You're right. You're right. Dude.
there we go. And though I do agree, to some degree. I mean, like the point I'm making right now is I certainly can easily see what you're doing. I feel like I don't know. Maybe, and it's just maybe that I've spent one too many years in corporate America. Um,
I get that part now too.
but I mean, to me, it seems like we have the managers of old.
Pics of Mike. Is Mike your bike, Brent?
I think he means my bike.
Oh, I was to say I have a
He has a
Sportster
bike.
sitting in my garage. I have a few pictures I've been sitting here referencing myself.
But I mean the problem that I've got is I feel like corporate America is operating on the belief that if someone's not watching you all the time,
Yeah,
then you're not going to get work done.
helicopter parent.
Right. And so now that they can't watch people, they're afraid that what's going to happen is people will not spend every hour slaving for them.
Right, right.
And honestly, we should be product based anyway. And I mean, part of this also was, and Pepper, you get to take a drink. When I was in Japan,
Pepper, you're just going to be continuously drunk for the rest of your life.
Yeah. But I mean, that was a thing that was part of their culture was they only worked like 4 hours. But then they'd spend 6 or 7 hours frantically doing nothing, very frantically, so that the bosses would think that they were working.
Yeah.
And it was like, you could have been spending this time with your family. But instead, you're making appearances, and I'm like,
to satisfy your boss,
to satisfy the boss, to make it feel like you're doing your job, and
the job that you're already doing.
Yeah, and it's like you did the job, you did it just fine. But like I'd have teachers who literally wouldn't go home at night. They'd stay there all night writing numbers in things that didn't need numbers written. They weren't doing anything. And the whole thing was they wanted to make sure that the principal knew that they were dedicated to their trade. And so it's
even though their job has been done for like 3 hours.
Right? I mean, honestly, I've been dedicating about 2 hours a day to my comic book, and we've been making some pretty serious progress. We're getting closer and closer all the time. And I need to dedicate a few more hours right now because we're getting kind of to the pinch point. We're getting kind of
not wrong. Sorry. Yeah.
But it's still kind of like, yeah, no. But really, I'm doing pretty good at 2 hours a day. I mean, I'll put in more hours other times, but for the most part, I can put in 2 hours a day and get moving along pretty good.
I mean, one of my old jobs, literally, I would finish everything in 4 hours throughout the day, but majority of the day was waiting for tickets to come through so I can have something to do. Exactly. My boss did not like that idea, and we're like, well, Colton, you got to be busy all the time. And I was like, why? I'm done. She's like, well, you have this. I'm like, that's been done for an hour. That's been done for 2. I'm waiting for tickets. She's like, well, tickets don't come in after 2 o'clock. I'm like, well, there's nothing else for me to do. It's like, you can help everybody else. I'm like, everybody else is standing around on their phones. I'm not going to go do their job for them.
Right.
And she's like, so you're saying that your job is really only a 4-hour job? I'm like, yeah, if you just knock it all out, it's 4 hours job. That's what it is. And she's like, Colin, you need to slow down then because you're going to be out of a job. I'm like, that's cool. Fire me then. That's literally what I told her. And she had the most shock on her face. I'm like, if you don't think I'm good enough for this job, that I'm doing my job and everybody else isn't, and you're going to fire me for it, I want to see you do it.
Right.
But then right after I said that too, she started trying to get me fired. But
yeah, well,
and it wasn't because I was good at it wasn't because I was good at the job. It was because I made everybody else look bad.
Right. Well,
and they were all 10-year vets. Like, they all been there for over 10 years. I literally have only been there for 4 months.
Well, and that's part of it, right? That's part of the problem is we have a culture that says you have to work all the time and pick up other people's slack and yada, yada, yada. And really, no, we don't. No, we don't. No, if the job is done in 4 hours, you can either double the pay of the people who are doing the work so that they don't need to be there for all 4 hours, or, reduce your workload so that there aren't that many workers there, or whatever, and then double the pay of the people who are remaining.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the nature of our business. The nature of business is to get the most out of employees for the least amount of pay.
Yeah.
That's the nature of capitalism in general. And again, I'm not knocking capitalism.
There are good things with capitalism.
There's a lot of great stuff about capitalism. But it needs to be governed. It can't be ungoverned, because this is what happens when you don't.
Where we're at right now is why this ungoverned capitalism, yes.
Ungoverned capitalism doesn't work very well because you end up just abusing the hell out of people. And it's like, well, we don't need to do that. That doesn't need to happen.
Right. That's where we're at right now. And that's why I know a lot of people are having problems with it. Well, but it's also one reason, like, me and a lot of my friends get in, not arguments, but agree to disagree moments where I'm like, because I'm on the part of, like, capitalism can be good.
Mm-hmm.
And they're on the part of, like, no, fuck everything about capitalism. Like, it's not good at all. This is why we're here in this place in the first place. I'm like, well, no, that's actually,
it just needs to be governed.
True.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool. Like, you think the way you do. That's awesome. And that's kind of like, I'm in the same boat as you. It's like, it just needs to be governed properly and it would be fine.
Right. I mean, you can't just sit there and say, we'll let the free market decide, because it doesn't. And that's a fallacy.
Too many.
You can't just let the free market do stuff, because the free market will exploit the heck out of people and, run people into the ground. And then you end up with people who literally spend 99% of their lives doing work that's not fulfilling and not good for them and not helpful, because they're terrified that they won't be able to pay for their house and live. And that is an issue.
Yeah.
That's not good.
That's literally what it is right now, is everybody was so terrified, like, to lose their house.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many good and bad things I have seen and read and heard during this whole pandemic about all that stuff. Like, yes, I'm glad that people weren't able to get evicted, but there was also a lot of people that were using that to their advantage.
Well, and somebody had once said, and I
don't know if did you ever hear about what happened during the Airbnb scandals during that time?
Oh gosh, no.
So they found out that people with Airbnb, that's why I take a Minotaurs to work and work.
Yeah.
Yeah. You still need to pay rent though. Yeah, you're right. But so they found out during this time that Airbnb, what was going on is people were renting out Airbnbs for like a month stint. And instead of renting out the Airbnb for themselves, they would reflip the Airbnb rent and just use the exact same place they were staying and get someone else to pay the whole Airbnb plus their amount, because they would just double charge it. So they were not pretty much living in these houses for free.
Wow.
And just getting free rent out of everybody. So there was a whole bunch of sketchy stuff that happened during this time. I hear stuff like this. I'm like, and now people can't get out of their housing contracts, and you can't break these contracts, like, because we are putting in the effect of like, oh, you can't evict people. Well, that saved a lot of people that were in the Airbnbs, but it also tanked the Airbnb like some of the people that had houses for Airbnbs tanked that whole market.
Yeah.
There was a whole bunch of stuff. It was crazy. There's a lot more into it, but that's about the gist that I actually fully remember from it. But it was crazy just like reading about it.
Well, here's the thing. I think, first of all, I feel like Airbnbs are part of the reason why my house is worth $500 and something frickin' $1,000.
Yes and no. Yeah.
When I bought it at $174,000.
Yeah.
And, you know, and it's like, I think part of our problem is that, you know, I think what happens is this: if you have people who abuse capitalism, then it messes up the capitalism. And I think that's one of the biggest problems is, for example, our medical system is a runaway capitalism because everybody's a mandatory purchaser.
Yeah.
Right. You don't have a choice. You have to buy the product. And when and people think, oh, well, that can't be bad, except that that's horrible for capitalism. It's a terrible thing for capitalism because people tend to get greedy at that point in time. If you don't have a choice, then I set the price to whatever I want to set it for. And you have to pay it.
Yeah, that's our medical world right now.
And then they added the benefit of, if you don't pay it, the government pays it. And that has made this all the difference, because now you default, it wipes you out. And right, you need competition, but I'm not going to be able to pick up a phone and dial it. You know, I'm having a heart attack and go, wait, you go away. I want ambulance company ABCDE.
I need to talk to these guys first. Hold on.
Yeah. Let me shop around for a couple of days and tell you what I think I'm going. You know, you can't. There's no way. So we're mandatory purchasers. We have to purchase it. Since we have to purchase it, they can bill us whatever they want. Now that they've got it connected to the government so that they can get tax money for it, now they don't have anything to stop them. So there's no reason, there's nothing to stop them from billing whatever they want. And it's obvious that that's the case. Because, I mean, like I've said, it cost us $80 for my wife to get an x-ray and to get fluid drained off and to get medication. All of that cost full price in Japan, which was $80. The x-ray alone here is almost $2,000.
Yep.
If you're paying full price.
Ambulance ride is minimum like $900.
Right, exactly.
And that's just if it's even right down the street.
Exactly. And it's because you have to pay it.
That's
no
where
reason.
Brent's right though. That's why we need competition, because it keeps the prices
well, yeah,
low.
but you can't have competition in medical.
Oh God, no.
And you can't have competition in medical, you can't have competition in police, and you can't have competition in fire. So any kind of emergency services.
Competition in police, that would be funny. Oh my God.
Well, I mean, yeah, because it'd be.
I know. Just the thought of that one, just like that, just got me laughing. Sorry.
It's all good, but I mean, it's true.
Or even in fire, my house is burning down. Actually, you know what? Just leave it going. I'm going to call someone else.
I'm going to call a better fire department than you.
I'm not a fan of the 13th fire building.
Right.
I need to call the 15th and see if they're available right now. Hold on.
Right, exactly. I just want to call a different fire department. I just don't like you guys. That's all. I've heard bad reviews on Yelp. But it's
on Yelp. Sorry. That's
right.
That was good.
You could totally see it.
That was good. That would be hilarious. It's true though. They would.
Yeah. I mean, but it's
why Yelp reviews are a little low for me to actually have you come over here. I'm sorry, but
can we just call?
I'm gonna have to keep shopping.
Yeah, I have to keep shopping.
Ma'am, your house is burning down. Oh no, it's fine. It's fine.
Look, you can't force me to do this. I have a right.
But your son is burning in the building. No, he'll be fine. I need to get a better price.
It's only a flesh wound.
I just need a better price on this. I'm not liking your guys' pricing, but okay. Bye. Oh,
but but that's the deal, right?
You're right,
and that's why you can't have it. So we need socialized medicine, and they can't fight that logic. So instead, now what we have is all socialism equals communism and you'll be shot and killed.
Yep.
And
Which I think's funny because I've had that argument with my parents multiple times.
Right. All socialism is evil. Okay, well, that's...
I'm like, no, not really, but okay.
It's fine, but it's not really.
I don't agree with what you guys are saying, but that's you are entitled to your own opinion.
Yeah, the problem is they vote. And so every time, well, I mean, that's my biggest problem. I realized that my dad has been voting against socialized medicine while being at the VA.
Yeah, no, VA is the worst.
Doesn't matter. My dad.
I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I'm just saying that, like, from what my experience with the VA,
yeah, but
like, they're the worst to their own people.
Everybody keeps saying, yeah, but use the VA as an example of why socialized medicine's wrong. I'm like, yeah, except that my mom died at 56 years old while saving money for a surgery.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So technically, my dad, even though he was on horrible VA socialized medicine nasty, lived 20 years longer than her.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm not saying that they don't take care of you. Right. I'm just more saying that you.
But that's what people don't take into account.
Yeah.
Right. When they talk about it, they sit there and go, but look at the VA and how horrible it is. And I'm like, you know what? I haven't been to a doctor in 10 years. I'd love to go to a horrible VA and sit for 2 hours.
Yeah.
If it meant that I saw a doctor every year.
I kind of wish we had, like, seeing how Japan works and make, like, you have to go do, like, annual physicals.
Right? That was so weird.
That's a nice thing.
I was like the healthiest I'd ever been.
Yeah. I think it's a nice thing to have because it makes you actually think about your health all the time. Not all the time, but
no, but
or at least you're healthier,
right?
So
yeah, and
I like the idea of it.
And and of course Japan's service wasn't bad at all. No. So it's not a given.
They also do have their own drawbacks.
I mean, of course they do. Everybody does. And that's the thing is, like, I totally agree that there are drawbacks to it, but I can't see any drawbacks that are worse than my mom passing away because she couldn't afford the surgery.
And she actually had to go out and literally work herself to death to afford a surgery.
And she was working at the time at a gas station, so there was no chance.
Oh, yeah, no.
There was absolutely no chance. And so, and then, and she died in 2002. And my dad, who was arguably just as in bad a shape as she was,
mm-hmm.
He made it all the way until June of this year. And he actually kind of felt guilty about that. But he still voted against socialized medicine because socialism means we'll become Russia next year.
That's literally what everybody says is we're going to become China and Russia. I'm like, no, that's not how this works, but okay.
We don't want socialism like Maoist or Marxist socialism. I want to be able to go to the damn doctor.
I just want to be able to be like, oh, I actually feel like shit. I'm going to the doctor to figure out what's going on and not worried that, like, right now specifically, since I had to go in to get my ankle checked because of work and all this other stuff, I literally think that I've used up all the money for my benefits for the doctor of this year.
Yep.
That I'm like, if anything else goes wrong until May of next year or March, one of the M words,
you're screwed.
I could still be fucked.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the part that terrifies me a little bit about, like, that's why I don't agree with our system, because I'm like, that doesn't, no, like, we got insurance for a reason, but the insurance only goes so far before,
we got insurance because we could no longer pay for the services.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have to save up. But I got to tell you, if I had to pay full price like I did in Japan, and it was all the same prices as we had in Japan, we wouldn't need insurance.
You're like, yeah, that's fine. I could actually make that work.
$80 every so often, every like twice a year or 3 times a year. Yeah, we'd have that in savings.
Everybody would be able to make that work. That's the thing.
Yeah, we can make that happen. And what it is it's not $80. It's $5,000-6,000 every 2 months. And for
Mm-hmm.
some people, it's even more than that. And it's like, that's the problem. Nobody has that kind of money. So now we have to have an insurance company, which will pay for it. And then you pay them. But now they realize that the medical industry has moved the goalposts so far that insurance companies are losing money. And so what they end up doing now is going, well, we'll only pay for half now. And
But
you're still
your
stuck with it.
contracts, well, then that's the people that are working in that industry that are having the hardest time. Like, because I've talked to one or two people that deal with the insurance companies that were actually in the medical field side of it, and they're like, no, dealing with any of the, like, specifically Medicaid, they're like, that's the worst to even deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Because yes, you're covered, but now I'm sitting here for like 3 months to 6 months fighting them to pay for it. And it's all under their bail. It says in their bill that they're paying for it, and they're fighting them every second they can get to be like, no, we're not paying for this. It's like, no, it's part of your contract or whatever part you're in. Like, you guys said you're going to do this. You're doing it.
And they're fighting it because if they don't, they lose money.
Yeah.
And so their hopes are that they can pawn this off on the person, and then the person can declare bankruptcy, and then the hospital can go then to the government and get the money out of the taxpayers. That's what they're hoping for. That's the cycle they're hoping for.
But that's the thing I hate the most, though. It's so shady.
Right. It's totally predicated on you and me blowing out our entire savings, blowing out everything, and effectively bankrupting.
Yeah,
It's
bankrupting destroying our lives so they don't have to spend money, even though we put all that money into their system to make it work.
Well, and that's the thing that people don't get is they bankrupt us, then they get the money out of the taxpayers anyway. And that's why our healthcare costs literally 6 times per capita what a Japanese person pays for healthcare.
Which is nuts.
Right? We pay, as taxpayers, we pay 6 times what Japan does per person.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because they pawn off, they bankrupt the people, then they pawn off the rest of it onto the taxpayer. Yeah. So we're still paying for it. So all these people who are doing we don't want socialized healthcare because it'll cost so much. I'm like, you understand that we're already paying much more
more than you actually anticipated.
Because they can charge whatever they want, and they've learned that they can now bill the person until they die, and then the rest of the money goes to the taxpayer, which has to be paid because you can't let hospitals fail.
Right.
So
all these people are going to die if we let them fail.
Right. And that's the thing that's the other thing that makes capitalism work is you adjust pace so that you don't fail.
Yeah.
Right. If you fail, that's part of capitalism, that you're supposed to be pruned so that other people can move into the market with better prices or better products.
Mm-hmm.
Since hospitals can't fail, then you end up with this situation that we're having now, which is they don't fail. They just make the U.S. government pay for it.
Yep. The next person's paying for it.
And so they charge whatever they want. They get that money no matter what, whether it's from you or whether it's from the taxpayer, they'll get that money.
Mm-hmm. And
when they do, then we are all bankrupted, but that's not their problem. And it's an extraordinarily frustrating thing to see people believe
it works
because socialism is bad. That that we can never have socialized medicine. And I'm just sitting here going, I'm going to die because of this.
We're all going to die one day. It's fine.
Well, I mean, but I'm going to die at like 50 because of this. Because I'm just going to need like a medication. One medication to keep me alive, but because they're going to charge $150 a pill for this, and I'm going to need 30 pills a month. And you know what I mean? Like, I'm just seeing this.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see this already. I mean, it's already happening to diabetics.
Oh yeah.
The diabetics are paying so much more than any other country for insulin. And it's the
I
same
know. I have friends that
freaking
really like
thing.
they want to leave America because of how the system works right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's one of those things. Diabetes is a death sentence here now,
Mm-hmm.
unless you're rich.
I mean, one of my friends, I know that for her medication, I don't know if she's diabetic, but just for her medication alone, and she's self-employed.
Yep.
She's paying like $300 to $600 a month. Yep. And I was like, that's literally one of my paychecks.
Mm-hmm.
Holy
crap. That's a car payment. For us, it's a car payment. And it's like, I mean, I don't even know what to say to that.
It's ridiculous. Like, when I talked to her about it, I was like, you're serious? She's like, yeah, that's how much I pay a month. And I was like, holy. Right. Like, and there's nothing I can do about it. The only thing I can think about right now for her, like literally for her, the only thing she thinks about is like, how can I get back to Italy where she lived for like a year?
Right. Well, that's what.
And she's like, the only reason I want it, like her main reason she wants to go back. I know there's other reasons, but her main reason right now, every time we talk about it, is the healthcare.
Yeah.
She's like, just medication alone is going to save my life if I go out there. I'm like, you still have to get your visa. She's like, I know. I've been trying. But also, nobody wants Americans anywhere.
Because that's what we're doing. We're exporting our people to other countries now because they can't help but be ill.
They can't live.
People don't have a choice about being sick.
Right.
And you know, of course, people say, well, you have a choice about being fat. But man, I've looked into all the foods that I eat. And it doesn't matter. My wife has tried really hard to be healthy, and she still leaks a whole bunch of sugar into our diets. And sugar's right. Fat.
It's a hard one to do.
It is. It really is. Okay, time for you to head to work. Time for me to go.
Oh yeah, it's 11. I need to go get ready.
Yep. Our work here is done. You can join me tomorrow if you want.
I probably will, unless if I have to look at my new schedule for the week. I always come in every Tuesday, see my new schedule. I'll be like, all right, cool. How's this? Which days are you guys trying to make me work?
And you want to work on your 3D projects and chat with me?
Yeah.
We don't even have to talk about healthcare.
That's fair. But awesome. Well, where's the thingy?
So, yep.
But yeah, I'll go get ready for work. Go have a good rest of your day.
You too. I'm going to go for a walk.
There you go.
Speaking of being healthy.
Get a good jacket. Apparently it's raining.
Yeah. As long as it doesn't rain on me. Like yesterday, it actively rained while I was walking. And I'm like, nah, I'm not doing this.
I mean, over here, it's just like a very, very light.
It was like everything's like slightly wet out there. I don't know. I'm not really interested in walking in the rain. But... So
I know I got to go work in it today. So hey.
Anyway, thanks for joining us, Brent. We'll see you tomorrow, and I'll talk to you tomorrow too, Colton. If you can, if you can't, I'll just keep drawing like I do. I'll be here. Okay, talk to you later, my friend. And everybody else, keep your eyes on the stars. Bye. Computer, good night.